بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. I'm really very happy that we will be learning this new way, distance learning or online learning. I hope you are all good, my Form2 class students. This is our first lesson, history. So you remember we were just finishing chapter 4. You remember I sent you the notice about the Buganda Kingdom. That's where we were. So we're going to start a new topic. The topic of today is chapter 5, trade. Trade is our topic today. As you all know, trade is very important. This chapter is very big. It has many different parties. So the different parties this chapter contains include to understand the term trade, the different types of trade, the reasons behind all those three different types of trade, and then we'll be talking about trans-Saharan trade and then the slavery. So generally these are the main important topics. So the main objective of our lesson today is to understand what is trade, what are the main types of trade, and then to discuss about one of the types of trade. So we'll begin with the first part. Be with me, my students. So if you are asked what is trade, trade is the exchange of goods and services among people or countries. We should be able to know the exact definition. So trade is generally about the exchange of goods and services among people or countries. When people buy or sell goods and services among themselves or among countries. For example, when you sell an item to someone else, that is trade. When you buy an item from someone else, that is trade. So goods and services, both of them are involved in trade. The second important point of our lesson is about what were the main reasons that facilitated trade. In history, when we are talking about trade, it was facilitated, means made it easier. When something is made it easier by the fact that human has a basic need. As a human, you need a basic need. The basic need of a human is food. So the food requirement was one of the reasons why trade was established. The other important point of our lesson is about what are the main types of trade. The first one, or the first type of trade, is local trade. So now, what is local trade? Local trade is a trade between people in the same village. That's the definition for the previous, or the most common ancient way to define. Local trade can also be defined as a trade that happens among a people, a homogeneous people who are the same, who have the same culture, the same religion, the same language, and who live in the same place. It can also be called sometimes a trade that happens in the same geographical area, in the same place. So local trade is the first one. Regional trade is a trade that happens in an area within the same geographical location. For example, the trade that takes place between East African countries is called regional trade. The trade that happens only in Somaliland can be called local or domestic trade. So a trade that takes place between different regions, but different countries, but in the same region, is called regional trade. The other one is called international trade. International trade is also called foreign trade. Foreign trade. So that's also something which is also known as international trade or foreign trade. So international trade is a trade that happens at a global level, different continents, from one continent to another. Okay, and now let us go to the first one. We talked about local trade, and the local trade, we said, exchange of goods at a village level with one geographical region. So now look at here. In some villages, The blacksmiths exchanged their implements for items they lack. When we are talking about in the ancient times, the villages, okay, there were some people who were experts in manufacture of metal. They knew how to shape the metals into different items that human needed. These guys were called blacksmiths. So they have to make the metals into different items that the people needed. So now, when they make different items, implements, items, they will exchange it with what they like. For example, if a blacksmith man produces a sword or makes a sword from iron and he needs food to eat, he can exchange. Students, do you know what this kind of trade was also called? It was also called barter trade. Exchange of goodies with no money involved with at all. For example, you have your sugar, you need salt, your friend in his home he has a lot of salt, you go together exchange. That's called barter trade. And barter trade was a part of local trade. So what was the origin of local trade? Why did the local trade start? The local trade started because of the following factors. So the local trade started because of the following factors. What are those factors? Number one, climate and environmental conditions. Climate and environmental conditions is the first one. So now, as you know, these two, climate and environment, are very important for trade and for the production of food. They decide what kind of food to be produced. So it was one of the most important factors that influenced local trade. These two are not uniform. They are not the same in everywhere, very different, and they affected the distribution of various kinds of animals and plants. Climate and environment, they are the two important factors which will be influencing the type of animals and the plants in an area. And those animals and plants are amazingly adapted to those two, climate and environment. So situations then arose or arise where people's requirements are not found in their locality. When what you need is not in your area, then that need is gonna force you to find what you need from somewhere else. So the foods that are not available in your area because of climatic conditions will make you look for a food that is somewhere else because of their climate. The other reason behind the starting of what we call the local trade was uneven distribution of natural resources. You know, the natural resources like the coal, the good soil, the availability of fresh water, minerals, they are not the same in everywhere. What can be found in a country might not be found. So this is also another factor that is encouraging trade. Imagine if all the minerals and natural resources were every country, so every country wouldn't trade one another because they have everything they need. If you have everything now in your home, there is no need for you to go somewhere else. So, but that's not the case with countries. So uneven distribution of natural resources resulting in trade. There are no regions with all the natural resources they require, so they always trade with other people. The other one is what's called specializations. My students, do you know what specialization means? Maybe you're familiar. Most of you, I remember, I asked you what you want to be in the future. What you want to be in the future, what your profession is going to be in the future is called specialization. Specialization. What do you finally want to have a profession? For example, most of you said doctors and engineers, and there was no one who said I want to be a chef or a teacher. And when I saw the class not choosing to be a teacher, I was not happy that day. So next time you should think about, because teacher is the one who produces all those. For example, doctor everything. Oh, sorry, I was a little bit out of the topic, but the main reason was because to make you understand the term is specialization. So now, some skills were preserved for a few people. Some skills were only known by few people. Preserved means they were only expert with it. So those include the way to make iron into different items, the basketry, the art of making the different packages and baskets, pottery, the art of making pots from clay, and the process of weaving and cloth making. Only few people knew at the Prophet's times. So these people, the people who did not have these skills, what did they require? What did they do? They acquired it, which means they exchanged it, they took the items they couldn't produce through trade. So those people, they were good at producing those things. Now, what they are good at, but they don't have everything, like the food and everything, they go and exchange what they need. The last point behind this trade, called local trade, to start was surplus protectionist. So now when you have a surplus, you have a farm, you have what your family needs, what would you do with the extra? You would trade automatically. That's exactly what they did. So surplus protection also was there. Local trade developed as a result. There is E missing there, as a result of surplus protection and the need to meet local demand. So people exchanged the excess of what they had in plenty. So the surplus production was also taken back. So my dear student, let us recap our lesson today. We talked about what is trade. We talked about the main factor that made it easy for trade to start. And then we talked about the three types of trade: local trade, regional trade, and international trade. We also discussed about local trade, what it is, with example, and then we answered one big question: what was the main reason behind the origin of local trade? And we said the main reason why local trade started was because of these four reasons: climatic and environmental conditions. Then, my dear students, we also said what? Uneven distribution of natural resources, specialization is, and the last but not the least is surplus protection. Okay? So now, what are you expecting? As usual, you know me. When we learn, there should be questions that follow. So these are your four questions. You should be able to do them. You should be able to do them. Define the term trade. Explain the difference between local and regional trade. You know, I explained that. It's not written, but I explain it. What is another name for foreign trade? Another name. Identify four factors behind the beginning of local trade. These are your four questions. And that's all for the first lesson today. I hope you understood well. And I'm really advise you to stay at home. Wash your hands with soap constantly. Don't touch your nose, your eyes, your mouth, and don't greet people. It is not even sunnah to shake hands. During the time of the Prophet mostly used to say Assalamu alaikum, raising his hand. He also used it to shake, but that was not mandatory. So now, I know it's hard, but try to do that. And stay safe, and don't bring disease for your mom, for your dad, for your grandmother, grandfather. If you say this disease only killing, the old people, we are here in this world because of our mothers, our father, and our parents. So please let us save ourselves and save them. And this is reality, okay? And even in our religion, the Prophet, peace be upon him, he said, stay at home when those kind of diseases break out. Okay? Don't go out from the town if there is a plague, and don't go into a town if there is a plague. So, my dear students, I hope you stay well, and that's